In Genesis, it states that Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. According to the Book of Enoch, the scribe was lifted up to heaven, and he saw things that excelled in splendor and magnificence, that he could not describe it to us. The Book of Enoch is filled with many of these dreams and visions, and today's topic is the book itself. We will study the history, its relevance to the canonized Bible, and delve into the story of angels who descend from the heavens, have intercourse with women, and bear giants. I'll go into great depth about the story later, but first I'm going to cover the historical background on the Book of Enoch. So get comfortable, strap on those seatbelts, and let's begin. Prior to the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls, this book was known only in its Ethiopic translation, which was divided into 5 books. The Book of Enoch and the Astronomical Book of Enoch date back to the 2nd or 3rd century BC. In other words, they are very old documents, and they predate the writings of the New Testament. Fragments of the Dream Book of Enoch and the Epistle of Enoch were also found amongst the Dead Sea Scrolls, so these documents are before the Common Era as well. The only book that was not found in the Quandram Caves was the Similitudes of Enoch, so some scholars have theorized that chapters 37 through 71 may have been written by Jewish Christians who wished to use Enoch's name to help propagate their agenda. There was another composition called the Book of the Giants, which was not included in the Ethiopic translation. It's a slightly different version, but it is found in the Quandram Caves. For more information, I would go to the Dead Sea Scrolls Digital Library. They give a solid breakdown on the dating and types of books found in the caves. The Book of Enoch is listed as a pseudepigrapha book. It means a book ascribed to a famous person in the Bible who did not actually write the text. This is because Enoch lived before the time of Noah, and we do not have any documents that date back that far. It is possible, however, that the story was passed down from generation to generation like the rest of the Old Testament books. The Book of Enoch elaborates on many mysteries not explained in the Bible. For example, the story of the Nephilim in Genesis chapter 6 is quite brief, but in the Book of Enoch it goes into great detail about what happened long ago. The Book of Enoch substantiates but also differs in teaching from the canonized scriptures of the Bible. It contains similarities to Daniel, Isaiah, Ezekiel, and has parallels to Greek mythology. The Book of Revelation, Jude, Luke, 2 Peter, and other New Testament epistles have similarities to the Book of Enoch as well. Because Enoch was written before these books, it has been suggested that the writers of the New Testament used Enoch as a resource or considered it to be authoritative doctrine. Now the question arises, why hasn't the Church accepted the Book of Enoch as an inspired text? The Ethiopian Orthodox Tewahedo Church has canonized the book, but most denominations today have rejected it. According to Ronald Brown, the compiler and editor of this version of the book, it was considered part of the canon for over 500 years. What happened? What changed? Well, let's find out. Including the Book of Enoch in the Bible has been an issue of debate for some time. In fact, much of the early church, Clement of Alexandria, Irenaeus, Athenagoras, Tertullian, Cyprian, and Origen believed the text was inspired and advocated the book. Those who thought the book should be excluded were Athanasius, Augustine, and Jerome. Although Augustine and Jerome believed Jude 14:15 quoted directly from 1 Enoch 1:9, they did not believe the book should be accepted. James Charlesworth, a modern-day scholar, asked the question, how can Christians discard a document that is quoted as prophecy by an author who has been canonized? In other words, if Jude quotes from the Book of Enoch, and it's an inspired text, why isn't the source that's being quoted also in the Bible? As one can see, Charlesworth makes a valid claim that's hard to refute. However, the reason Augustine believed the Book of Enoch should be excluded was because there was no way to ascertain whether these were Enoch's genuine writings. Jerome believed the church should reject Jude as well because it cited Enoch. He believed that through age and use, the Epistle of Jude gained authority and became part of the Holy Scriptures. Tertullian acknowledges two reasons that some might not accept the Book of Enoch on these points. Number one, it's not included in the Jewish canon. Number two, it could not have survived a worldwide calamity like the flood. His rebuttal? Noah could have remembered and later recorded the teachings of his great-grandfather, or Noah could have rewritten them under the Spirit's inspiration. Tertullian also believed the Jews probably rejected the Book of Enoch and other scriptures because Enoch spoke of Christ. Now that we have all that history under our belts, it's time to delve into the story. The first book, chapters 1 through 36, begins with a group of angels also known as Watchers, who lust after the daughters of men. They make a pact with one another to descend down from the heavens and impregnate women. This union between angels and men produces a race of hybrid giants known as Nephilim that terrorize the earth. The Watchers teach their children how to make swords, knives, enchantments, and charms. This brings forth lawlessness upon the earth, and many people perish. Meanwhile, the holy angels, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel bring forth the cries of those who have fallen to the throne of God, and the Lord of Lords brings a harsh judgment against the Watchers and their children. The Lord decrees that the giants will destroy one another in battle, and they will not live forever. After death, they will become evil spirits and roam the earth. As for the Watchers, the Lord orders the good angels to bind them in a pit after watching the demise of their children, and that they will be thrown into the eternal fire following Judgment Day. As for mankind, he sends a message to Noah that a great deluge will destroy the earth, and only a few will survive. The book also promises that one day the Lord will bring forth peace and justice to the righteous on earth. Now before these events took place, Enoch was taken and could not be found because he dwelt in the heavens with the holy ones. The angels showed Enoch many realms beyond description, and enlightened the scribe on the fate of those who acted righteously or wickedly. He was taken to the river of fire, where one day the unrighteous and fallen Watchers would dwell. Enoch was shown a place like Abraham's bosom, where the good and evil went after they perished. A great chasm divided these hollow places. A bright spring water was in the midst of the people who were righteous. They were being comforted. The sinners, however, were in Middle Earth. They were in great pain, and they awaited the judgment day, where they would one day be tormented forever and ever. Enoch was then told of an age where the righteous would reign with the eternal King, when he brings his throne down to the earth. On this high mountain was the tree of life, and it was described in great detail. Enoch was also shown the tree of wisdom, which brought about the fall of Adam and Eve. And at the end of the first book, Enoch is shown the portals of heaven, where some winds blow for good, and other winds blow for violence and affliction. The only other part I did not mention in the first book of Enoch was the petition made by the fallen Watchers. They call upon Enoch to speak on their behalf, asking for forgiveness from the Most High. Enoch is brought to the throne of God, but the Lord refuses their request. The fallen Watchers are not exonerated. Instead, they remain imprisoned in darkness and will be thrown into the river of fire at the end of the age. Book 2, chapters 37 through 71, is a bit different from the other books. First of all, it is most likely written after Christ around 200 AD. Therefore, it is quite possible that this section of the Book of Enoch has been compromised. It uses terms like head of days, son of man, and the elect one. It also sums up a lot of ideas presented in the first book with some contradictions and inaccuracies. A lot of the book deals with the coming Messiah, his future, and those who will reign with him. Book 3, chapters 72 to 82, is an astronomical book. It deals with the sun, the moon, and the stars. Uriel explains to Enoch the laws of the universe. The angel goes into great detail about the sun and the moon's movements. He also teaches Enoch about the portals of heaven. These portals deal with winds that blow upon the earth. Some of the winds are for blessings, and others are for curses. For 1 year Enoch is permitted to dwell upon the earth, and pass the knowledge unto his son Methuselah, who lived the longest period of time in the book of Genesis. In the second year, Enoch is removed from their midst. The measurements of the days and times do not coincide with our current calendar, so many critics have rejected the book because of its scientific miscalculations. It is possible, however, that the Earth was on a different axis during Enoch's days, and that a worldwide flood changed the times and the seasons. Book 4, chapters 83 through 90, deals with two dream visions. Heaven falls upon the earth, causing great lamentation in the first vision Enoch sees. The scribe is so distraught by the vision that he goes to his grandfather Mahalalel, and his grandfather gives him wisdom. Mahalalel tells Enoch to make a prayer to the Lord so that he will not destroy everything when heaven falls to the earth, but that the Lord will leave a remnant behind. Enoch makes his petition, and the Lord hears his prayer. The second vision deals with stars that fall down from the earth and are cast into the abyss. The dream is comparable to John's vision in the book of Revelation and has striking similarities to Jude in 2 Peter. This is important because the book of Enoch predates the New Testament writers. Therefore, it is quite possible that the writers of the New Testament used the book of Enoch as a prophetic resource. The Book of Enoch was widely circulated amongst the early Christians, so it is something to consider. As for the second vision, it goes into detail about the Great Flood, the history of Israel, Moses, the imprisonment in Egypt, and the parting of the sea. This vision is quite symbolic, but many of the symbols are easy to decipher if one has read their current Bible. Book 5, chapters 91 to 108 is called the Epistle of Enoch. The writing style is refined and orderly. It's an epistle that warns mankind to forsake sin and to live righteously. This book gives hope for the righteous even though they may die and suffer on earth. The spirits of those who live righteously are told they will not perish but live again. They will be rewarded, and the wicked will suffer great loss. Book 5 has many similarities to the book of Revelation. It even outlines the eras, the final judgment, and the new heavens in a comparable fashion. The final chapters of the Book of Enoch deals with Noah. A child is born to Lamech, the great-grandson of Enoch, who looks like an angel of God. Lamech thinks that his son is not born of his seed, but from one of the Watchers who rebelled against God. Therefore, Methuselah goes to Enoch and asks him about this child. Enoch tells him that Lamech's son is legitimate and to name him Noah. Enoch informs him that this child is blessed and that Noah and his sons will be saved from destruction. The book closes with words of comfort and exhortation. Those who are good will be seated on the throne of honor, and the evil will be blotted out of the book of life. To sum up, the Book of Enoch is a fascinating read from beginning to end. It's prophetic and mysterious. The big question, however, is should the Book of Enoch be included in the Bible? Personally, I think too many years have passed since the Bible has been canonized to consider this. It would be difficult to find any sort of agreement amongst the different religious groups about what should be included unless a complete version is found that predates anything we've found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. Nevertheless, I do believe the Book of Enoch should be read by Jews and Christians alike. There are far too many similarities to what's found in our Old and New Testaments. If the Book of Enoch was written after the New Testament documents, it could be easily discarded, but that is not the case. 4 out of 5 books of Enoch predate the Gospels, the Epistles, and John's Revelation. The Book of Enoch was considered authoritative by much of the early church. It is quoted directly in the Epistle of Jude, and it mirrors so many prophecies in the book of Revelation that it's difficult to deny Enoch's influence upon the New Testament writers. This concludes my YouTube video on the Book of Enoch. If you like what you saw and learned something new, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I spent years studying the Bible and this topic, but if you question the conclusions in this video, I would suggest to do your own research and read the Book of Enoch yourself. Thank you, and God bless.